I know, we're already a month into 2022 and you don't really care what I think about the video games I played in 2021 are. I promised you I'd make it. I told you I'd make a Stinky games list, so here's the 10 stinkers. Here's some stinkers of 2021 that I played. This time, I'm getting grumpy. This time, I'm talking trash. It's honestly gonna get a little controversial in here. I didn't plan on it being that way, but trash games were trash. A bunch of kids are gonna come in here and just like kick me, just like step on my foot for days with some of the things I'm gonna say in this video. You're gonna want to stick around and watch this. It's gonna get heated. It's gonna get passionate, and maybe it's gonna get people to actually comment on my videos other than the Berserk video. Let's do it. Just like last time, for the very few people who watched my top 2021 games I played, there are 83 games I played last year, and because I wanted to make a video that's actually interesting and worth discussing, those 11 arcade games I played, I'm not including them. This top 10 worst games played would be pretty much mostly made of those, and it'd be really boring. It would just be like a fat, sweaty fistful of quarters of arcade games. Those are disqualified, banned. That is not fair. They are in a league of their own. I also played 12 or something multiplayer games. I said 12 last time, even though I know that's wrong. So I'm just trying to be consistent for the very few of you who watched the top 10 video. I think it's pretty good. My girlfriend says it's her favorite video that I've made so far. You should watch it. So this is going to be a weird one because spoilers for this list. Some of the multiplayer games I played are going on this list. The list would be too heavily made up of these multiplayer games, just like the arcade games as well. So I'm just gonna, like, if they're similar enough, like if they're in the same series or same genre, I'm just gonna group them all together instead of the entire list being made of individual entries from the series. It's gonna be like one entry is a compilation of that entire series. This intro's over. We don't want to jump straight into the cold water first, so we're just gonna, dip our toes, and we're just gonna get into some games that just are bad in a way that's really just disappointing. Nothing you get like fired up about. You just play it and it's like, that's not very good. Nope. I gotta fix my sleeves. They're rolled up. I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt. Number 10, Splinter Cell Essentials. Honestly, I can't even get grumpy about this one. It's not like horrendously bad or anything. It's just Splinter Cell on the PSP. You can feel how stripped down it is of all its normal mechanics, and it just leaves a general feeling of disappointment. And you replay so many different levels from different Splinter Cell games, and they are simplified in very boring ways. The whole experience just sort of feels like, yep. It's not something I can get mad at, but just looking at it makes me feel like a disappointed father. I'll give it credit though. It is a better PSP game than Tenchu Time of the Assassins. I don't want to talk about that game, especially since I played it in 2020, so we're just gonna ignore that. But playing Essentials is like going to a restaurant and having this great, delicate dish that just dances in your mouth. That's like the PC console entries, main entries of the series. And then you go home and you try to make it yourself. It has all the same ingredients and everything, but you're terrible at cooking and it tastes flat and uninspired. Of course, it's a PSP game, so I mean, what can you expect? They had to do what they had to do, but doing what they had to do didn't do it, I guess. Number 9. The First Tree. I really hate to do this, but I have to do it. The game was made by, I think it was just one guy. I'm sorry, man. I have to do it to you. I'm sorry. As somebody who is also using the Unity engine, I couldn't let this stuff slide. The entire thing feels kind of like a prototype, not a prototype build, but like an alpha build, I guess you could say. The art style is good, and when there are moments of good art, it's good. The environmental scope far exceeded the ability of a single creator. The ground often felt and looked untextured and basic. The mountains felt like one passing of the environmental brush, whatever it's called. I mainly do 2D stuff. So much empty space where you're just running for minutes straight. I really wish I didn't have to do this to a solo dev. I'll give him credit. I do think the story is fairly good and heartfelt. I support that. I just can't let everything else slide as a final build. What can I say though? I've never released anything. What do I know? Could I do better? I don't know yet. What I do know, I was just generally bored and would have liked to see it worked on more. Again, I hate doing this to a solo indie dev. It's such a difficult thing to do. I just can't give it the praise I've seen other people give it. The scope should have been scaled down to accommodate for what the dev can do. When I see those moments when things do come together well, it is a really nice moment. And if the entire game was scaled down to a point where those moments were much more consistent rather than a rarity, it would have made the experience so much better. But as it stands right now, I gotta say I did not enjoy playing this game. Now, it is officially time to get grumpy. You might want to put your... I don't think anybody's gonna need to put their seatbelt on for this one, except for me. This one's gonna make me a little grumpy to think about again. Number 8, Paper Mario Sticker Star. Just thinking about this game makes me mad. I was playing the entire Paper Mario series / replaying Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario. Anyway, when I got to this game, I had intended to continue on and play Color Splash and Origami King, but this game single-handedly stopped me from doing that. What I dislike more is that the game can't go and be complete garbage. The soundtrack has to be a jazzy slap. The sax. I played saxophone in middle school. It really works it in this game, and that's about the only thing that works. I mean, like, the game works well with a thumbs up to them. It's polished, but like design-wise, there's like some puzzle pieces that don't just quite fit right. I really don't like to be that kind of guy that just goes and, you know, oh, it's not the same as the old ones. They tried to do something different, and I can't accept things being different. Therefore, it's bad. I'm all cool with like games experimenting and doing different things, but like, Jesus Christ. One of the things I miss the most about the other Paper Mario games is the characters. I could not tell you a single character in this game because I don't think there are any. They are all just faceless NPC toads. There isn't a single moment in the writing that's clever. So I will have to compare it to the other Paper Mario games in that sense, in saying that the story and the characters are bland, and if it was a plate of food, it would be an empty plate, because it's just non-existent. The entire adventure and world felt empty and lacking purpose. The world map was a typical Mario World, whatever level style, and that honestly just made me grumpy. I was like, look guys, it's a Mario game and they have the world map, bro. Mario Poggers, bro. The gameplay honestly could have been worse. I'll say that, at least the gameplay could have been worse. It's not good, but it could have been worse. The RPG mechanics of the other Paper Mario games are, you know, they are zoop, they're completely gone. They're scoop, they're out of here. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. If you want to get rid of them, fine. Stickers are only one use. Hold up. It thankfully wasn't as tedious of a grind as it could have been, but I still felt like you could play the game without doing a single fight except boss fights, since normal fights typically use more stickers than they give. There's like literally no reason to get into a fight. And when I mean no reason, like trying to think back to the game, I cannot think of a single reason to get into a fight. There's no levels, there's no, you get like one sticker after using like 5 or 7. The boss fights are probably some of the worst in like all of gaming, and it's where the game loses a ton of points. The game could have just been like, this isn't that good, this is average, but because of the boss fights, it goes to the stinker. It gets stinked on. Bosses would often require very specific stickers to beat, but they never told you, what sticker do you need to beat the boss? I don't know, man. So if you miss the object you need, which when you do find it, by the way, you have to go all the way back to town to get it turned into a sticker. If you mess up, that's your problem. You have to go back to town. I think you spent coins on it or something, but you have to go all the way back and get a new one. It's really annoying. But if you don't find it, well, that entire boss fight was pointless because you're 90% guaranteed to lose because you need it to beat the boss. And they are not always on the same level as the boss. Sometimes they are in completely different levels in spaces that don't really make sense for them to beat. They're just kind of there, and they don't tell you what boss it goes towards. The bosses don't really hint at what you need them for. Like, you face a blooper, and what you need is a sponge. There's a whole bunch of other things you can use for it, but you need the sponge to essentially beat it. I don't know about that. I've never used a sponge on a squid personally. So if you can't find it, you're just lost and confused and miserable, and you look up a walkthrough, because that's what I did every time, because I was not dealing with it. And some of the level design was also just miserable as well. There were a couple times when I was just lost, like that one maze level in the desert. I think it's when you go into the pyramid. Oh my god, I hated that. I was losing my mind, and I couldn't even think clearly anymore because of everything that was going on. Still though, there were times when I actually did enjoy the combat. It had its elements of strategy, and with the different stickers, there were moments where fun was actually allowed. Number 7. F-Zero GP Legend. There are several elements to the F-Zero games that I actually like, and I respect what they're going for. And over-the-top, crazy high speeds and some futuristic settings with really great music, thumbs up. But man, sometimes they are just not fun. This one in particular messed me up. It's not entirely fair, because I didn't watch the anime that goes with the game, but what can you do? It made me mad, and it actually kind of hurt my eyes to play. Even looking at gameplay again and watching it to remember the game made my eyes hurt. I actually added a note here in the script that I had to stop working for the night because after watching the gameplay my eyes hurt so bad that I just couldn't focus anymore. I don't know what it is, but looking at the game is physically taxing, and playing the game is mentally taxing. I had to look up some tech to actually be able to play the game because, good lord, every single car in the game feels like absolute garbage. You just don't understand the skill ceiling to the game. Trash, kiddo. Cool, I'll admit there's a skill ceiling to the game. Thing is, the game has to make me actually want to learn how to play the game, and all it makes me want to do is lay down and close my eyes. I don't want to replay the same maps over and over and over to learn the skill ceiling. I don't want to replay those maps 500 times to learn how to control an ice cube that when it touches a wall, it gets flung around like we're playing air hockey. What reward do I get for learning the game? The races become a little harder because the AI suffers from intense rubber banding, so becoming skilled technically punishes you a little bit. It's not even like 2 steps forward, like, oh, I got better. 1 step back. Oh, the AI is actually unfair. What it actually is is you take 2 steps forward, and then the game comes over and punches you in the penis and beats you in the streets, while Tyler's over there filming it for his TikTok. As much as I respect what they're going for, it's not for me in the long run. Now we're really gonna get people grumpy. Number 6, Super Mario Bros. 2, the US 2. We all know the story behind that. Doki Doki Panic. It's whatever. Don't sit there and tell me this game is an all-time classic. It's a 5 out of 10. I just did not and do not have the patience for NES garbage. I save stated the absolute crap out of this game. I did not care. I wasn't dealing with replaying the entire game again because some dumb NES garbage happened, and it's like, and then Mario went, oh no, haha, oh boy, it's Birdo again, haha, wow, everybody, everybody get your champagne out, it's Birdo again for the 2000th time. It's Birdo again, watch out, this time some of her eggs are their fireballs. You better. It's Birdo. I'll admit there are a lot of cool ideas here for an NES game too. It's neat, and I actually do kind of like and respect some elements of it. I just didn't really feel like getting lost in the labyrinth of the last level and have to get and sit back all the way to the beginning of the entire game. Haha, you gotta learn the maps. There's warp pipes all over the place. You can skip a couple worlds. There's warp pipes all over the place. Haha, how about I have better things to do than be depressed? I am prepared. I am totally prepared for you, like, gaming, golden age, Nintendo fanboy buckos to come after me. But I said it and I'll say it again. 5 out of 10. No holding back. No breaks. I'm getting you guys grumpy again. I'm about to go on a grumpy streak. What is this is this Grumpy Manjaro. I think that's it. I think that's what he says. Except like with the grumpy joke involved. Number 5. Halo multiplayer on PC in 2021 via the Master Chief Collection. The games included in this in particular are Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach, and 4. I guess that's the entire collection. I don't know why I listed it out. Mostly Halo 1 and 2 though. Halo Infinite isn't getting included because it doesn't make me grumpy. It's actually probably one of my favorite Halo multiplayers, but it just makes me bored. I really tried to like Halo multiplayer. I really did. There's so much to it that I like, and so much to it that I respect, but when it all gets brought together, I don't enjoy it. I asked friends what they like about it so much. I gave them interviews. Why do you like Halo? We did that whole thing. I researched why other people liked it so much. I watched YouTube videos. I read forums. I really tried. I didn't grow up on Halo. Sure, I played Halo 3 at friends' houses sometimes, and I do have a lot of fond memories while playing Halo, but I wouldn't consider it a staple of my childhood that if you completely removed all my memories of it, I'd probably still be pretty much the same person. I played the campaigns as well, and I do genuinely enjoy those quite a bit, which is why I really tried to enjoy the multiplayer, because I do like the gameplay within the confines of the single player, and I was hoping it would be just as fun in the multiplayer. So when I saw the Master Chief Collection was on sale on Steam, my friend and I, we both got it, and it is some of the worst multiplayer experiences I've ever had. Just consecutive gaming sessions in a row. Some of those I swear are going in the top 10 worst multiplayer gaming experiences of my life. when we were playing it, we actually both said the exact same thing. When we looked at potentially buying it, we were like, we expected a lot of hours out of this, and somehow we left extremely annoyed and disappointed. Firstly, I think part of the problem was the fact that we were playing on mouse and keyboard rather than controller. You'd think an FPS would be better on a mouse and keyboard, but you're wrong when it comes to Halo. We tested it too. We've got scientific evidence. Neither of us had used a controller for any FPS or third-person shooters for years and years. So we plugged a controller into Halo to see if it was actually easier. And if you saw us playing on a controller, I swear to God, it looked like we'd never played a video game in our lives. Even so, as we were objectively worse on a controller, we did better in Halo. All the weapons in the game are designed around the strong aim assist the game has, which partly you can't blame them because they were always console exclusive, so they were, of course, everything was designed around the controller. Anyway, the game has crazy aim assist, and one of the guns that shows the best is the battle rifle. I think it's a battle rifle. It might be the assault rifle. It's the iconic, like you see the Spartans carrying it all the time. It's that one. The difference between the mouse and keyboard assault rifle and the controller assault rifle was actually hilarious. The AR is actually unusable with a mouse and keyboard. The moment we picked up a controller and started using it, we were like, huh, this gun actually works. When you're using a controller, you don't have to do anything. You can just smell the enemy and it will trace them for you. It felt like it was the meta to just let go of the aiming stick on the controller while fighting and let the aim assist take over, because if you got involved, you just, you'd mess everything up, you'd bungle it, so you just let go and let the aim assist do it all for you. Then when we get to the game itself, it was just not that fun. Part of it was because probably we came to the game so late, which is specifically why I put the date in the title, because there were people in the lobbies that you can tell they've been playing Halo since day one, back in like 2001 or whenever this came out. Halo 1 was so miserable to play. They would know all your spawn points and exactly where you'll spawn, so the moment you considered existing within the game, you would get like 500 grenades thrown on you. That doesn't even get into the weapons of the game. The meta is annoying and to me was detrimental to the experience. Weapons you can pick up, essentially the power weapons are superior to the weapons you spawn with. So when you spawn, you are at an objective disadvantage to the people who are still alive. You spend most of the game losing fights and going, haha, wow, I love losing to an objectively better weapon. Boy, the way he aimed at another galaxy with a rocket launcher and toasted me in one shot, that was really fun. Yeah, limited ammo, you gotta know the spawns, you gotta learn the game, etc, etc. I don't care. Take your sniper and have fun preventing people from even being capable of contesting you because of your objective advantage. I realize now that most of my fond memories of Halo multiplayer were when we were with friends just messing around, not having actual TDMs, or as they call it, Slayer in Halo. In Halo 3, this is still one of my fondest Halo memories. In Halo 3, we used to play a kind of game of tag with the infection game mode, where you would have the zombies set at max speed, but their gravity set to the lowest gravity. The other players would have normal gravity and everything, and they would get in mongooses, which is just about as fast as the max speed of the infected. The map we'd play on is Sand Trap, and we'd pretty much just play tag. The speed and the gravity working at a disadvantage for the zombie made it a ton of fun to try to pull moves on him on the mongoose and catch him off guard, and if he went over a mound, he would get sent flying. Or the zombie pulling some sneaky tricks, trying to do something sneaky, catch the mongoose person off guard because of the mongoose's disadvantages. Actual matches of Halo wasn't where my friend and I had any fun either. It was in the more creative modes. The most fun we had in the Master Chief collection was when we joined custom servers, We joined a Reach parkour server once and had one of the worst, yet at the same time one of the best nights we'd had with Halo. It was an extremely difficult but fair parkour map, and sort of like each challenge was a particular parkour challenge and be like one at a time rather than just like a mixed map where if you fell off at the 20th challenge you could fall all the way back to the first. It was like a straight line of individual challenges one at a time. I don't remember what the guy's name was. I wish I could remember, but he guided us through the entire map. It took us over 2 hours. We never used chat a single time, no text chat or voice chat. All we did was like motion with our guns, and he just like showed us like what we needed to do with the limited mechanics that we had in the game, and just, you know, like pointing at stuff and shooting the next. It was like two people who don't speak the same language trying to like problem solve, and it was one of the most pure and wholesome things I've seen in multiplayer gaming. And seriously, it was over 2 hours, and he helped us the entire way. We went from literally not knowing that Halo parkour existed to playing and beating a very advanced map because of this guy who taught us all the tech without a single word of dialogue. And that was a wholesome and fun experience that I will give credit to Halo I don't think could have happened in many other games. That still doesn't counter all the terrible times we had doing Slayer and Oddball and all those other modes. Sure, you can chalk up some problems to us being new. Doesn't change the fact that we didn't have fun. And the game loop of, haha, power weapon go zoop, wasn't fun or rewarding. You know, it's like, oh boy, I got a power weapon. Now, I can destroy some kids for once. We genuinely tried enjoying it. And at times, we did have some fun. Mainly in Halo 3 was where we had the most fun, but it still had some of the same problems. Otherwise, it was a mess that we did not have nostalgia for. I asked the friend I played it with for his statement, and here's what he said. It's hot potato with grenades, while the sniper rifle and rocket launcher get passed around. Number 4. I quickly realized this is just becoming a second unpopular opinions video. Parappa the Rappa. a cult classic. You guys love your cult classics, don't you? This game is charming, it's cute, it's endearing, but it's such a miserable experience to play. The story and its events don't make sense at all, and that's part of the charm and the parts of the game that I did like. The level about where you have to poop, that was a lot of fun to see. I wasn't expecting that at all. He had to take a poop. He really had to take a poop. You don't see that a lot in games. Poop's funny, but I never want to touch this game again. It is a rhythm game that doesn't even work. I swear, I would hit everything perfectly and lose every single time. Sometimes hitting early worked, sometimes hitting late worked, but it never worked consistently. If I was able to beat a level, it didn't feel like I was able to beat the level. It felt like, whoosh! Finally, I was lucky enough for the game to consider my perfectly precise inputs as valid for once. And when I lost, it felt like maybe the game will read my inputs that are put in at the right time. It never worked, and it never felt good to play. It was horrible. It doesn't work at all at its foundation as a rhythm game. People give it a pass for being all cute and quirky and unique and being part of their childhoods, but in reality, if you go and play it again, you will rage and consider giving up all your worldly possessions as you contemplate going on a journey to the mountains to be free of suffering. This next one, like Halo, is sort of just a compilation. Just the battle royale genre in general. There's so many individual games I could include, it's just not fair, so I lumped it all together. I don't like battle royales. At their foundation, I don't enjoy them, Where are we dropping, boys? Oftentimes, it's not the game itself I dislike, but the format it's in that I dislike. Apex Legends, for example, I enjoy the mechanics, I like how the weapons feel, I enjoy playing the arena mode, but Battle Royale, the BR aspect ruins it. All the RNG of weapon drops and loot where you can be at an objective disadvantage, you know, because you never know what you're gonna get is boring. I don't want to drop on a zone and get zapped because the best thing I could find was disappointment, and the guy I got zapped by found Ares reincarnated as a gun. Every BR game has these fundamental problems baked into the game itself. Apex specific and like PUBG and some others. Can you not heal any faster? Holy crap. Getting sandwiched in third parties and BRs is frustrating and annoying. Oh boy, guess I lose now because I just won that fight I was in, and now that I'm low, I have to heal up, and it takes longer for me to heal than it takes for me to realize I'm not enjoying myself. You get third partied in every single BR, and it's just, oh my god, it's not fun. In general though, I'm not really a huge fan of multiplayer games. I mean, I don't like dislike them, but I'm not like that guy who exclusively plays CSGO. I'm not that kind of guy. For one, I'm not competitive. The only thing I'm really competitive with is myself for the most part. And I'm not a particularly social person. I only have like one friend that I game with when we have our boys Saturday multiplayer co-op whatever night. I also look at multiplayer games in a very specific way. Am I having fun because I'm playing with my friends? Or am I having fun because the game itself is fun? That's a specific way I look at multiplayer games. And what I typically realize, personally, is that it's fun because I'm hanging out with my friends. Part of that does become dependent on the game genre a little bit. Like a team-based game inherently becomes more fun with friends because it allows you to lean into the intentional team cooperation, communication aspects heavier. I mean, Paladins is my favorite multiplayer game, and part of the reason why is because it's the only multiplayer game I've ever enjoyed by myself. One where I've gone and actively played by myself. That said, it is more fun with a friend. We're able to push each other and keep playing because of each other, and it's also because it's a team-based game. But essentially what I'm saying is BRs are a genre where I think the fun itself comes from because you're playing with your friends. I could never boot up a battle royale solo and have fun. I tried it with Apex, didn't have fun. All the running around maps, just looting, isn't fun when you can't communicate with someone and talk about whatever during your 5 hours of downtime in your 5-hour session. Some BRs are worse than that than others. At least I actually enjoy some elements of Apex. My favorite BR is, I'll say it, Realm Royale. I also actually enjoyed the cycle, not because they're BRs, because they're interesting games, unfortunately covered in a BR. But they do have elements within them that get rid of the really obnoxious RNG elements, and the cycle in particular is like hardly even a BR, so that helps in its favor a lot. I will admit, being in the smaller circle and some of the last people left is kind of exhilarating, and that's the best pro of the genre when you're at the end of the match. But it takes multiple matches and a lot of time just to get to that point in the match. So what can I say? I just don't like RNG nightmares. Number 2, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Another Mario 2 game. This time it's Mario 2 in Japan. For this game, I actually didn't play the SNES version from the All-Star Collections. I played a ROM of the original Japanese release, and Phew, what an absolute garbage game. Thank you, Nintendo of America, for not bringing this one to America till later. This game is NES garbage incarnate. I'll let it slide a little bit because this is still very early gaming. That being said, just because it's old doesn't mean it is relieved of all its transgressions. It is stinky. It is designed to be as frustrating as possible. The levels are specifically designed against you. They are not obstacles for you to overcome. They're obstacles for you to slam your head into. There are a bunch of levels too with like hidden and invisible paths or some dumb crap that is completely opaque, and you just have to try every combination of inputs at specific pixels in specific orders to get it right while they don't hit at the solution at all. Nothing about this game is designed well. It's just harder Mario, but not like good harder Mario, hard in all the wrong ways. So much about the game feels out of your control. I'm gonna say it. Mario doesn't feel that good to control. Maybe he feels better in the first, even though it's likely the exact same, but I haven't played that one in years. He feels like you're controlling a water bottle with a little bit of liquid in it, but it's like that specific amount where it doesn't really feel like you can control it well. He's slow and he doesn't feel that responsive. Maybe I'm just used to the more modern platformers and how they control, but it is what it is. This game is just a bad Mario game, and yeah, again, I say stay to the crap out of this. It is honorable mentions time. Number 1. F-Zero Climax. Same reasons for GP Legends. This one is a little bit better, but it's still F-Zero and still really annoying. Number 2. Rage 2. The first Rage game was pretty alright. I don't remember it super well, but I do remember enjoying it. Not great, but decent enough. This game, the second one, was just this really boring and bland game that felt completely empty. The gunplay felt great and was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but everything other than that wasn't that good. The world was empty and boring. The story was empty and boring, and it's just very average except for the gunplay. Number 3, Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2017. This one's mainly because of the multiplayer. The campaign was fine, another pretty average campaign, but I don't hate it. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't memorable. The multiplayer is where it dropped the ball, which is really disappointing because the multiplayer is fun. And then the heroes arrive. Battlefront multiplayer, the original ones, is some of my favorite multiplayer of all time. I know I talked about not liking multiplayer that much. I do like the original Battlefront games. Those were games where I did go and play them by myself. And this game, to a degree, still managed to make those big battles feel pretty close to the older ones. And then the heroes show up. They ruin everything. They take a potentially good game and turn it into garbage. I didn't even spend much time with the multiplayer to see if there were more flaws or not, because the heroes ruined it so much that I only played for like an hour or two, and I don't think there was like a no hero mode. I don't remember. It was a while ago. There must not have been if I completely uninstalled the game after like an hour or two of the multiplayer. But the heroes are so overpowered, and it's just like, you know, a hero shows up, you might as well just be standing there with no animations and not being able to do anything, because that's about as much as you can do to them anyway. Final Fantasy 13-2 for number 4 of the honorable mentions. I honestly have no idea how this game even got made. They could have just stopped at 13 and it would have been fine. If they were going to make a sequel to 13, this game only goes in opposite directions of places you think a sequel to 13 could go. I swear, even if Nomura isn't attached to this game, I still feel like he had something to do with this. There are some honestly fun elements, and I didn't completely hate it. It's just an absolute disaster, mainly of a story. The game became more enjoyable, where you just sort of like turn off your brain and laugh at whatever garbage they could come up with next. I can see why some people like it, and I do have, you know, a couple positive emotions towards it, but otherwise, I swear, this had to have been an inside joke in the company that got way more money than it should have. As I was playing it, while some scenes were playing out, I was just trying to sit there imagining that they had so many meetings about this game, and this came out. Like, imagine, if you've played this game, imagine sitting at dozens of meetings, and they like, that's good, check, I like this. Good work, good work team, this is good, check. I really like the ideas he came up with. Like, how does this get made? I'm so confused. Number 5 of honorable mentions, Rhyme. I feel like there's other games I could put here, but I'm putting this here anyway. I don't know why. I really didn't hate the game. It's just boring. It started out strong, and I love the art style, and then that's about the pacing of the game. Just one solid line. The puzzles become a little tedious after a while, and it just remains flat for the entire game. It still does have some good moments, but I found it hard to be attached, and when it was just, you know, flat the entire game, boring. Now, this is a special section for games that aren't honorable mentions, but still disappointed me and rank lower personally relative to the common commotion about them. Number 1 of all that stuff I just said, Eco. The character controls like a can of soup, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I generally did enjoy the game. Some of the puzzles were fun, the atmosphere was good, and the game feeling very focused on a singular vision was nice. I just never got attached to its story, and it didn't really blow my mind. The worst part was really the shadow monsters. They just show up sometimes, and you never felt safe leaving the girl alone. I know that's probably on purpose, but for me it impacted the experience in a negative way. I felt like for the entire game I couldn't trust it. I could not trust this game. I knew it was going to do some obnoxious and tedious crap, and it could often ruin the vibe. Like, I'd walk into a new room, I'd see the whole new puzzle, and I could like identify like, this is where they're gonna do some stupid crap and make me not be able to trust them again, and I'm gonna have to run all the way back because I can't take the girl with me, and it just got really tedious and annoying. I still like aspects of it, you know, I don't think it's a bad game, it's just, you know, I'm not like in the corner like about it. 2. Control. I know a lot of people love this game, and I greatly implore those people to go and play Max Payne 1 and 2. I like Control, it's not a bad game, it's just not as great as everyone is always flapping their wieners about. It's cool, it's creative, it's unique, just the combat gets a little stale. It's so obvious that the meta was throwing objects at enemies that by the time I upgraded that a bit, I was just throwing stuff more than I was shooting. The fact that when it came to throwing, I didn't have to think at all kind of ruined it as well. There's not like specific items around the room you can throw, like, oh, you threw the desk, it broke, no more desk. You pick up the floor, you take out chunks of the floor, you take out chunks of the wall. You don't have to aim at anything. You just keep spamming the telekinesis key and then throw it with no thoughts. Like I said, though, there is a lot to like here. I didn't really like the Metroidvania elements a ton either. They weren't terrible, but I wasn't, you know, about them. And, you know, by the end of the game, I still had every single article of clothing I started the game with on. Number 3, Final Fantasy XII. For this entry, I'm disappointed in myself as much as I am in the game. I really wanted to like this game, and I think there is a lot to like. I just couldn't. It didn't click. I never cared about any of the characters except for Fran and Balthier. I never cared about the story either. For some reason, it just didn't interest me when like everything in this game usually does. The scope was great and wild, but it never grabbed me like I wish it did. The tower, oh my god. The tower at the end of the game was significantly too long, and depth gave my perception of the game a negative impact. There was also another section where you were like running from one city to another that felt entirely too long. I swear to god, it took like 8 hours. I'm not kidding. If I timed it, it would have taken 8 hours to get from one city to the other. I was definitely getting a bit in a, you know, what time are we getting there kind of mood. I do plan on replaying the game in the future to try to like it again. The only problem, the game is like really long, so it's going to be 10 years maybe. I played the PS2 version of the game, by the way, so once I do replay it in 10 years, I'm going to play the Zodiac version for the PC. It's like the remaster or whatever, things reworked. Hopefully it'll click and hopefully I'll be jamming, but for now I wasn't jamming. Now the finale, the number one. What do you guys think it is? It's a game that nobody's heard about. Only 0.7% of people on Steam have beaten it according to the achievements. Final Fantasy X-2, The Last Mission. I'd rather put this one above the Lost Levels, so like Lost Levels is number one, but this one's more interesting to talk about. Welcome to YouTube. Firstly, I want to introduce a new naming convention to this game. Technically, it's the third game in the Final Fantasy X series. It technically released as a bonus in the Japanese exclusive Final Fantasy X-2 International plus The Last Mission, but in the X-2 remaster on Steam, it's the third one. They don't like say 3 on it, but it's like 10-2 The Last Mission, so I'm going to call it the third one. I want to offer you 2 naming options. The first, we can simply just call it Final Fantasy X-3. Nice and simple, clean, everybody can understand it. Or if if you want the unenlightened NPC gamer to hate JRPG players and have them shout like, "Huh, weeb, what is this weeb crap? Haha, trash. It looks like a mobile game trash," in the Twitch chat even more. Let's call it Final Fantasy X-2 2. If you're gonna call a game Final Fantasy X-2, you might as well go all the way, because it's more of a sequel to X-2. I think I prefer this naming convention because it's really obnoxious. I think it's just kind of funny. And anyway, now to the game. This game is a roguelike that takes place on a tower that's entirely too long. It is 80 floors. Whoever thought it should be 80 floors? I'm gonna like. Anyway, it is a miserable and long journey as you go up all these floors. Every single floor layout is randomized, so everything is just every single floor is just like rectangular rooms and hallways. That's it. There's not a single thing interesting about the level design at all. Item placements in levels are random too. Item drops from enemies, if I remember right, is random. It's a mess. In order to get stronger, you have to layer up your dress spheres. I'm not going to explain that. Just go play Final Fantasy X-2 if you want to understand that. You have to layer up your dress spheres. So it's like, let's say we have 2 white mage dress spheres. Level 1, level 1. Level 2. Level 2, level 1. Level 3, you get it. You know how to do math. So to get to the end of the game, you need like some pretty high level dress spheres, and they're all random. You also get specific buffs depending on how your dress spheres are set up, because you can have 5 equipped at a time, and each sphere has its own health, and if it gets destroyed, it's destroyed for good. If it's level 1 or if it's level 50, it's gone for good. Safe to say, whenever that happened, I just reloaded the last save, which is an item that is randomly dropped. So you gotta keep saves in your limited storage backpack too, which is really annoying. The absolute worst part comes when it comes to the floor requirements. About every 5 floors, I think it's 5 floors or something, there would be a special requirement you had to do in order to unlock the elevator to the next floor. Here's the catch: they never tell you what you need to do. For the first bit of the game, it's stuff that you'd likely naturally do anyway, like defeat two enemies or whatever, you know, look in some direct, I don't know, it's just stuff you're gonna do anyway. But as you get higher up, the requirements get so specific and obscure, while at the same time not telling you what the requirements are. The entire game works in a turn-based fashion, where every movement, every item selection, whether it's a use, a drop, or whatever, is based on turns. And for some of the requirements, you had to skip turns, several of them, like 5 in a row. There's never a time in the game where it's like, I'm gonna skip a turn. It does nothing. There's no point in skipping turns. And there are other requirements, which are, I'm not even kidding, perform 5 attacks at nothing. That's just hit attack. There's nothing anywhere near you. Just hit attack 5 times. Who's doing this? Why are we hitting attack for 5 times? Nobody's gonna do that naturally. Sure, yeah, when I get up in the morning, I look at my to-do list. It says, oh, great. Today I have to attack the air 5 times. I can't believe I didn't do that yesterday. That's top priority. You know, some of them it's like, drank 2 potions, regardless of if you actually need it or not, or I hope you even have them. I don't know. Okay. And then when you get to the top floors, there's this dude called the Founder. If you ever see him earlier in the game and you run into him, he sends you back to the very beginning of the tower. But this time, at the end of the tower, without telling you, he sends you where you need to go. Great, wow, great game design. Thanks for informing me, everybody. Because when you actually get to floor 79, there's no way up. You have to go all the way back to floor like 75 or something to run into the Founder to get you up. I don't care if I spoiled it for you guys. It's such a bad game and such a bad game design choice that you're better off knowing that. And you're better off knowing at all times you should have a walkthrough open. It doesn't even pass as game design. It is just some of the worst choices I've ever seen. So many other elements just turn into long and tedious processes. There are some elements to the game that I did actually like, but they are burdened by as much poopy as they could shovel onto this disc. I do want to say though, even though the narrative isn't that good, I really liked what they were going for in concept. The tower doesn't make sense at all, the Founder doesn't make sense at all, nothing's explained, not much makes sense, cool. As expected. What I do like is the character interactions. As sparse as they are, they only happen like once every 10 floors. What I like about these interactions is that it shows a side of JRPGs that you never see or think about. 10-2-2 takes place after 10 and 10-2, as you think. So these characters have been on insane journeys that are world-saving journeys twice, and they have grown close through fighting these hard battles. 10-2-2 is what happens after all that. They have to go back to living normal lives after that. And what does that look like? All the characters have kind of grown apart, and it's a little sad. They each have their own lives they're living, which naturally separates them. So during the course of the game, they talk about in ways they've grown apart, how they were an unbreakable band, that now they're living their lives and aren't part of some epic tale anymore. They're back to being normal, and I find that quite a powerful story. And in concept, the execution is not there, really, and part of the reason is because it's like attached to this game. Still in concept, I think it's a really cool idea. Being able to see the what happens after of characters in a world-saving scale JRPG is such a cool idea. Still an absolute butt game that I started out thinking maybe this could be a 5 out of 10, and it just showed me more and more of its flaws. That's it though. That's everything. Get mad at me if you want. Take care of yourself.